Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today we have Hot Tips by Jobo. It's not quite sure what these rules actually are. I have not read them just yet. So let's kind of get into it. It just looked like it was a little bit different than normal, which is something I always enjoy. So let's start looking at these rules and figure this stuff out. So we have normal Sudoku rules apply. So every row, every column, and every 3x3 box contains digits 1 through 9 once each. Along thermometers, digits must increase from the bulb end. So that means, let's say whatever this digit is, these digits have to increase, and these digits have to increase along the bulb, from the bulb up to the tip. So in layman's terms, I guess, would be this is the lowest digit, this is the highest digit, this one's in between them. Then we have the final clue, which is the small clues in thermometer bulbs show the digits that appear in that thermometer's tips. Okay, so that is a little bit interesting. Essentially what it's saying is now, since this bulb has a 4 and a 9, I'm not going to conjecture right now, but these have 4 and 9. That means the 4 and the 9 have to appear in the tips. And those are the only rules. So let's just make sure that's set up right. It is. And let's get started. So now, looking at these clues, I want to take a little bit of a deeper dive into the meaning of them, because if you'll notice, they are set in such positions where it appears like they're pointing in a certain direction, but that doesn't seem like it would be really a good way to go about setting a clue, because if you just put the 4 and the 9 here, then you could just instantly put your 4 and the 9, and why not just put those digits in there? Now, I'm going to go off of that, and I think it might just have been that those digits were put in because it looks better doing it that way. So I'm going to go with that, because there's nothing that says that is the case. It really just says that the small clues in the bulb shows the digits that appear in that thermometer's tips. It doesn't say there's any qualifications to either way of it. So that said, what can we do? Well, I can see pretty quickly we've got some values in these bulbs that must go in the tips that would be conflicting. So I haven't looked anywhere else yet. I just happen to be looking down here because that's where my example was. But we know that these two have to be 4 and 9 because those are the two digits that are in are the clues that are in our bulb, so therefore the tips must be those. Now, this one has a 4 and a 9 in it already, so therefore this one can never be a 4 or a 9 because we've already used them, so this has to be either 6 or 7. Now, do we have that same instance? Let's go around the square here. I was going to say circle, it's not a freaking circle. Let's go around the square and kind of work with that same logic and see if it gives us any. So we've got 7 and 8 have to be in here. Now we do have the 7 and 8 in this one as well. So this has to be from 5 and 6. This is 5 and 6. Again, we have 5 and 6. So this has to be from 8 or 9. Oops, I almost did that wrong. 6 and 7. So therefore this has to be from 3 or 8. And I can see something right there that's going to give us something to work with. And I think we've kind of worked out in that that vein of looking at these clues. That brings me, I think, quite nicely that I started here and went around this way to see this one. Well, if there is, we know there's a 3 in one of these tips. We don't know which one it is, but we know it's there. So therefore, this has to be a 1 because there's no other way to get to a 3 in such a way. And all that really means is that one of these, whether it be this direction, this direction, this direction, or this direction, has to be a 1, 2, 3. Now, did we have anything else that we could use that same concept with? Now, 5 and 6 are sort of interesting because we know that all of these digits all have to be lower than 5 and 6. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Clearly these can't be 1s. and this clearly can't be a 4. In fact, this can't be a 3 either, because if this was a 3, these would both have to be 4 to get to our 5 and 6. So let's get rid of the 3 there. We've either got a 1 or a 2 here. Is that super useful? Now, the next thing I could start doing, in fact, I'm not going to do what I was saying I was going to do because I have something a little bit better. I was going to say we could start filling in these tips because we know all of the values that must go in them. 4 of them for all of these ones in the middle, and then just the 2. We've already filled the 2s out in the corners, but we could have done the same thing with these 4 sets. But there's something I just noticed as I filled in these. We've got a 5-6 pair looking here. And we know that the tips of these 4 have to be from 5, 6, 7, and 8. Well, this one can't be 5 or 6 because of that pair, so therefore it has to be 7 and 8. And now we've got a 5, 6, 7, 8 quadruple. Now, it almost gets me someplace good, and maybe it does elsewhere. I was thinking of where would a 1 go on this this row, because there's not a ton of places it can go, but it could still go there or there. And if it went here, we would start to figure out some things here, but this one might not have so much use. Now, the next thing would say is there anywhere else that we can limit 1s or 9s, because those are the most extreme digits, clearly. Here in this column, we end up having a similar situation where one of these could be a 1. One of these could be a 1. We know none of these can be, because we already have a 1 here. None of those could be. That's probably not going to get me a ton. I mean, well, let's stop being stupid for a second and look at this middle box. Where does a 1 go? A 1 can't go on a thermo past the bulb, so therefore this is the only place a 1 can fit. And then we're going to say, well, where's the 1 go in this box up here in box 2? Well, the 2 ones pointing out these 2, and then again, we can't put them on a thermo beyond the bulb, so this one ends up having to be the 1. So therefore, we've ruled out that being a 1, this one being the 1, and this one is a 1. All that means is that one of these 2 has to be a 1. And we can actually, we can't really, because looking at this, one of these 3 could be a 1, and that works perfectly fine with either of those situations. Now, the other way to look at it might be in some of these other boxes. Where could a 1 possibly go? And do I see anything else? I don't think so. Yeah, because none of these end up doing creating enough of an X-wing to remove possibilities. Now, the next way I would go to look at it would be the 9s. And I think we can stick with our row 3 here, which being quite helpful. Now, where does a 9 go in this row? Well, the only place it could possibly go is here. And then now we know that this has to be an 8. So we've got that 8 isn't looking at too much. Can we continue maybe with our 9s? Because we know that none of these are 9s. None of those are 9s. That's not. The 9s have to go in one of these corners here. We know none of those are 9s. We know this is a 9. So this is a 9. We do see something with the 9 then. There we go. And then none of these can be 9, but either one of these is a 9. We know that because we have our clue here that says one of them is. And this one can't be because it sees it. So one of these 2 is a 9, which actually rules out 9s over here. But I don't think that was enough for us to run through anything else. Okay, so let's go back to our row 3 where we've got the 5, 6 pair, the 7, 8 pair, and a 1 and a 9. So we've got 2, 3, and 4 that have to go in there. That's not super helpful, I don't think. So I'm going to back up on that one. I don't want to put too many markers in. I find that it can be a little bit more confusing the more stuff you put on the grid. So try to avoid that. Now, is there anything else where we've got a 9? This one says it has to have a 9 on it, but it could be any of these, so that's not super helpful either. This 6-7 pair here, I don't see much to work with. Now we know one of these has to be a 7. And it can't be this one. Okay, so this is a 7, because we've got the 7-8 pair. Again, our third row here seems to be pulling a lot of the work, so this has to be 7. Now we do know where our 1 goes, because 1 can't go in any of these other places, so this is 1. Of course, that is the least helpful position of the 1, but it is still there. Now we have to have a 1 in one of these two. Can we do much more with this grouping? We can, because now we know this has to be a 1 by just basic Sudoku and these thermos, and that rules out every other place for 1s except for here. And we're going to continue with our 1 train. That's a 1, which now we can fill this in, and we should be done with 1s. Yeah, none of these can be 1, so this is 1. Now, that is all of the 1s, which is good. Well, we can continue with our 9s now, because we can't put 9 in any of these positions, so this is 9. Does that do? Yes, it does. It separates our 4 and our 9. So we have none of these 9s, none of these 9s, none of those. Can get that one. None of those. Yeah, the 9s look like they've not worn out their welcomes, but they're not giving us much left. I mean, we know this has to be either a 2 or a 3, but I don't know that that's going to give us any useful information at this moment. Now, can we do anything with our 6s and 7s in terms of what these can be? Because we know they can be from 1, 2, 3, 4. They can't go up to, well, they could be 5. Yeah, sorry, they can't be the 1, clearly, because we already have a 1 there. So 2, 3, 4, and 5 are the only possibilities. There's no 4 here. There can never be a 5 here either. And these can never be 2s. Did that help us? Is there anything left that we haven't used in this grid right now? The answer appears to be no. So maybe that filling of those in wasn't all that good for us. So maybe we do have to start looking at these and see what the options are. So we've got 5, 6, and 9. We know this one is not 9. Cannot say anything else, it appears, from those other ones. What about these? These have to be from 5, 6, 7, and 8. There's nothing there at all, so I don't want to do that. How about these guys? We need to have a 9. Okay, here we go. This one has a 9 in a tip somewhere, and it can't be there, there, or there due to basic Sudoku. So this has to be 9, which then removes 9 from here. I didn't mean to hit that button. Now we have a 5, 6 pair on tips. This is an 8, so therefore this has to be a 9. And we're going to be able to kind of finish our 9s Sudoku-wise. We got all of these, so none of these can be 9s. So there we go. And what's left? We have an X-wing on 9s. No, we don't, because we don't need to use it. We have what we call a negative constraint on 9s for our thermos, so none of these can be 9, even though this technically could have been a 9 if we didn't have any of these clues. It can't be, because we know 3, 7, 6, and 8 have to go on the tips. So therefore, none of these are 9, which means this is 9. And then therefore, none of those are 9, so that's 9. So all our 9s are now done. Now that we've got that, where's our next step? well, I guess I can put the 2 and 3 in here because we end up having a set of digits that we can start removing. So this now has to be 5, which means this cannot be 5. That 5 doesn't see anything else, does it? At least not at the moment. Okay. And 2, 3, 8. Okay, 8. You can look at 8. Where can 8 go in this box? Well, it can't go here, because if this was 8, this would have to be 9, and it cannot be. And then all of these other things don't have an option for an 8. So this is 8. And again, it doesn't do us a ton of good. And we could mark this has to be 2, 3, or 4, but I'm not going to go there just yet. Now, the remaining 3 digits on these tips are 3, 7, and 6. This cannot be 3. Okay, so that's going to give us something. We got a pair of 6s, or a pair of 6 and 7, pair 2, 3, which gives us this digit, which has to be 8. Now, we still haven't figured out where our 1, 2, 3 is, but we've reduced the possibilities, which is good. Looking around. Anything else look good here? Can we do anything with our 8s now that we've created a little bit of motion there? Doesn't really look like it. No, I don't see it. Okay. And then just kind of falling back with the 4s and the, like I was talking about, the 4 looks like it's pointing this way and 9 looks like it's pointing out. Clearly that was not the case. It's just an optics thing, or a visual of how these numbers were going onto these bulbs. That just looks nicer than probably throwing them up in some random places. So as suspected. Now, where else can we go? So we have a 2, 3, 4 triple here. But that just leaves a 5, 6, 7, 8 quad, which, we know we can't have both a 5 and a 6 in here, because first off, it would leave no place for the 8, and second, it would destroy this. But again, that doesn't mean that there has to be a 5 or a 6 in either one of those either. Okay. How about we go back to our tips, because there's a couple things left we can do, it looks like. Yes, 4. So where does the 4 go? There's a 4 in our bulb here. And so we have to put on one of the tips, but it can't go on any of those. So this is 4, which means this has to be from 2 or 3, which gives us a 2, 3 pair. Now, it's not looking at anything at the moment, so that's not super helpful, but we do have a 6, 7 pair now, because those are the last 2 digits in our bulb pointing here. So this is 8 and 7, and 8. And what else? How about the rest of this column, maybe? We've got 3 digits. We need 2, 3, and 5. We don't have any 2s, 3s, or 5s yet, so that's not really giving us anything. So where's the next? What other tips have we not done? Let's look at these. These have to be from 5, 6, and 7. And of course, none of those are looking at anything. Okay. And again, these were the 2, 3, 4, or yeah, 2, 3, 4 is the remaining. All we know is that this can't be a 4, but again, that doesn't really tell us anything. We know that this has to be 2, 3, 4 just from this box, but, well, actually, I just saw this now. We do have a 5, 6 pair here looking down here, so that's 7, and 6, and 7. Oops, 6, can remove 6 from all of those then. Okay. So we know one of these is a 2. We knew that already, but it's just kind of reinforced. So what other pairs do we have maybe that I need to just kind of take a crack at? I'm kind of just scanning around right now. I mean, we know this has to be from 2, 3, or 4. Again, it's not super useful because all of those will work. This could still be a 2, because if this was a 2, just force this to also be a 2. If this was a 2, you couldn't put 2 here clearly, and then therefore this couldn't be 3. But that seems to be a little bit further down the road from where we are at the moment. What am I not seeing? Is it basic Sudoku? So we've already finished our 1s. We know we don't have any 2s or 3s. We have a couple of pairs of them, but not good enough. 4s, we had started on them. Yeah, okay, here we go, 4s. Just needed to look at Sudoku, so we have to put a 4 up here. That 4 now removes the possibility of this being a 4. Does it do anything else for me? Well, one of these has to be a 4, which means none of these are 4s. But again, there's nothing really there. 4s. I don't see anything else. Well, actually, there has to be a 4 in one of these two. There has to be a 4 in one of these two. So that is an X-wing on 4s. So none of these can be 4s. It just means that one of these two is. Oh no, it means that this one is, because we have this 4 looking here. So, like I said, the X-wing on 4s are these two, so it rules out all of these. This 4 set looks out that one, and this one looks out that one, so this is 4. And I think that's probably as far as we're going to be able to take that 4 for the moment. These, we said, have to be from 2, 3, and what? 6. Okay. Now, this one can't be a 6. And that's something I hadn't looked at previously. And why is that it can't be a 6? Because we have to have a 6 on a tip of one of these two. If we put a 6 here, neither of these two could be a 6. So therefore, we can't have a 6 in any of these positions. We can't have a 6 here. We just said that this can't be a 6. So now in this row, or this column, excuse me, since this can't be a 6, this has to be the 6. And that's going to tell us our 5 and our 6. And that's going to start to break things open as well. This cannot be 6. So this has to be from 2 or 3 to finish our thoughts on that column. And this 5, okay, C's up to here, so that's 6. That's 5. This is 6. We can probably get rid of a lot of things here, and we can probably continue to finish off some of these digits here. Maybe it's the 6s that are done. Yeah, so this has to be a 6, which means this has to be a 7. This has to be a 5. We need one more 6 over here, so it has to be here. The 7s, did we finish them off? We know this is a 7-8 pair now. And is there anything further we can do on the 7s like we did with the 6 causing a problem? So now we can never put a 7 on any of these. We cannot put a 7 here either, because that would see both of these 7s. And we can't put a 7 here because there would be nothing to put here. So this is the 7. So this is the 3. And that gives us our 8 and our 7. All splendid. So now that we know the 3 is here, we know that 2 is there. If I could click properly, that would be wonderful. These have to be from 4, 5, and 7. This can't be 5 or 7 because of these two. So this is 4. That gives us our 3 and our 2 and our 4. Now, we need to have a 7 still. There's a 7 looking here, and this can't be 7 because it would break this. So this is 7. This is 5. That 4 finishes that 4 off. Is that all of our 4s done as well? It is, because we can finish that right there, and we can finish that right there. So those are all good to go. Now let's just finish this grid off, because I think we're just about done with it. These have to be from 2 and 3, so we've got a few 2-3 pairs going on. This as well. This as well. So we've got this column pretty much done. There's only 1 digit left, which is a 5, so it has to go there. Now this has to be a 7. That 2 gives us our 3 over here, which is going to give us our 2 and our 3 and our 2 and our 3, and we're just going to run down the line and finish our 2s and 3s. And we can probably get them all. Yep, 2 and 8. And I think that's all of them for 2s, and 3s are going to be probably the same deal. This is a 3. What else do we have? This has to be 3 and 5, which is not determined just yet. These have to be from 2 and 8. There's a 2 here. In fact, this is almost done anyway, so 8 and 2. These 2 digits left, or let's just do this one right here in this column, because it's the only one left. This has to be 5, and therefore this has to be 8. These 2 are left with a 3 and a 5. So therefore it's on a thermo. So this has to be the lower digit, which is 3 and 5. And that's going to give us our do, and it's going to finish our puzzle. And there we go. Yay, solve the puzzle. Awesome. So that was a fun one, fairly quick, called Hot Tips by Jobo. Excellent puzzle. I had not seen this type of rule set before. So it was certainly interesting to try something a little bit different. Again, been trying to find some things that have a little bit of a wrinkle in them, so it's not necessarily the same rule sets all the time, although there's nothing wrong with that as well. But that was, like I said, an excellent puzzle by Jobo. I hope you all enjoyed that one, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.